Hello everyone, welcome back to the Calm Learner. Today we are starting class 7 Geography NCERT chapter 1 Environment. This is the foundation chapter for UPSC Environment and Geography syllabus. So whether you are a class 7 student or a UPSC aspirant building basics, this chapter is extremely important. With this understanding, let us now begin chapter 1 Environment. Now let us begin with the most basic and important question. What is environment? When we use the word environment, we are not talking only about the forest, river, or animals. Environment actually means everything that surrounds us. It includes the place where we live, the people around us, the natural elements like air, water, and land, and also the things created by humans, such as houses, roads, and industries. In simple words, environment is the interaction between nature and human beings. Anything that affects our life directly or indirectly is part of environment. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and even the society we live in all come under environment. This definition is very important because in UPSC questions are often asked from such basic concepts but framed in a complex way. So always remember, environment is not just nature, it is nature plus humans and their activities. Now that we understand what environment is, the next question is, what are the different components of environment? According to NCERT, the environment is made up of three major components. The first is the natural environment. It forms the physical base of life on earth. The second component is the human made environment. This component shows how humans use and modify natural resources. The third component is the human environment. This refers to the social, economic, and cultural activities of human beings. It is important to understand that these three components do not exist separately, they are interconnected and interdependent. For example, humans use natural environment to create the human made environment, and in the process, human activities impact nature. Now, let us discuss all the components of environment one by one. So, first is natural environment. So, natural environment includes all those things that are created by nature, not by humans. It consists of four major domains: lithosphere, which is land, hydrosphere, which is water, atmosphere, which is air, biosphere, which includes all living organisms, and together these four domains support life on Earth. Understanding natural environment is the base of physical geography and ecology. Now, let us briefly discuss the components of natural environment. First one is the lithosphere. The lithosphere is the solid upper layer of the earth. It provides land for living, soil for agriculture, minerals, and natural resources. Human activities like mining, farming, and construction are directly connected with lithosphere. Problems like soil erosion, land degradation begin when this layer is misused. Now, the second domain is the hydrosphere. So, the hydrosphere includes all forms of water on Earth. This includes oceans, rivers, lakes, glaciers, groundwater. Also, the water is essential for all living organisms. Issues like water scarcity, river pollution, and melting glaciers are related to the biosphere. Now, the next domain is atmosphere. So, the atmosphere is the blanket of air surrounding the Earth. It plays a very important role by providing oxygen, regulating temperature, and protecting life from harmful solar radiation. Topics like air pollution, global warming, and climate change are based on this concept. The last domain would be the biosphere. So, the biosphere is the narrow zone where land, water, air interact and where life exists. All plants and animals and beings live within the biosphere. This definition is very important and has been repeatedly used in UPSC prelims questions. We have already discussed these domains elaborately in class 6 Geography NCERT Chapter 5 Major Domains of the Earth. video, so you can check that out also. Now, let us understand the concept of an ecosystem and how it is closely related to natural environment. The natural environment consists of land, water, air, and living organisms. When these living organisms interact with non living components of nature in a particular area, they form an ecosystem. The ecosystem has two main components. The first is biotic components, which includes plants, animals, and microorganisms. The second one is abiotic components, such as air, water, soil, sunlight, and temperature. Now, let us look at how an ecosystem works. So, an ecosystem is a functional unit of natural environment where plants, animals, and microorganisms depend on elements like air, water, soil, and sunlight for survival. For example, in a forest ecosystem, plants use sunlight, air, water, and soil to prepare food. Animals depend on plants and other animals for food. Microorganisms break down dead plants and animals and return the nutrients to the soil. This shows that within the natural environment, all components are interconnected and interdependent. If one part of the natural environment is disturbed, such as water scarcity or deforestation, the entire ecosystem gets affected. Let us look at some examples of ecosystem. First one is a forest. A forest ecosystem includes trees, animals, birds, insects, and microorganisms interacting with soil, air, and sunlight. A pond ecosystem, which consists of aquatic plants, fish, frogs, and microorganisms along with water and sunlight. A grassland ecosystem, which support grasses, grazing animals, and predators depending on the rainfall and soil conditions. Then there's a desert ecosystem, which has a very limited plants and animals that are adapted to extreme temperatures and scarcity of water. So each ecosystem is different, but in all cases, living and non living components work together as one system. Now, let us understand biotic and abiotic factors, which are components of an ecosystem. Biotic factors refer to all living components of the environment. These include plants, animals, microorganisms, and human beings. Plants prepare their own food and form the base of life on Earth. Animals depend directly or indirectly on plants for food, and microorganisms help in breaking down dead plants and animals. Abiotic factors refer to the non living physical components of the environment. These include land, water, air, sunlight, and temperature. Abiotic factors creates the conditions necessary for life to exist. Biotic and abiotic factors are closely interconnected. For example, plants need sunlight, water, and soil to grow, and animals depend on plants for food. If abiotic conditions change, such as temperature or rainfall, living organisms are directly affected. This relationship is the foundation of ecosystems and is very important for understanding environmental balance. Now, let us understand the human made environment in detail. So, human made environment includes all those things that are created by human beings using natural resources. These things do not occur naturally, they are built to fulfill human needs and comforts. Examples of human made environment includes buildings, houses, roads, bridges, railways, industries, dams, parks, and monuments. To create these structures, humans use materials from the natural environment such as land, water, minerals, and forest. So the human made environment is directly dependent on the natural environment. Over time, as human population and needs increase, the human made environment also expands. Cities grow, industries increase, and more infrastructure is built. However, the expansion often leads to pressure on natural resources. Deforestation, pollution, and land degradation are some of the results of uncontrolled human made development. This is why it is important to understand the human made environment not just as development but also in terms of impact on nature. From a UPSC point of view, this concept helps us understand topics like urbanization, infrastructure development, and environment development conflicts. Now, let us understand the human environment. Human environment refers to the social, economic, and cultural surroundings created by human beings. Unlike the natural environment, which is given by nature, the human environment develops through human interactions and activities. It includes things like society, customs, traditions, institutions, economic activities, and ways of living. For example, how people live together, how they earn their livelihood, how societies are organized, all these come under human environment. Human environment also changes with time. As society develops, our lifestyle, occupations, and institutions also change. It is important to understand that the human environment is closely connected with both natural and human made environment. Human activities depend on natural resources, and at the same time, they shape the human made environment. Some examples of human environment would be agriculture, trade, industry, and transportation. Now, let us understand the concept of environmental degradation. Environmental degradation refers to the damage or decline in the quality of natural environment due to human activities. When natural resources are used excessively or carelessly, the balance of nature gets disturbed. Some common causes of environmental degradation include deforestation, pollution of air and water, overexploitation of natural resources, and rapid industrialization. For example, cutting down forests reduce biodiversity and affects the climate. Pollution of rivers and air makes water unsafe to drink and air harmful to breathe. Environmental degradation does not affect only nature, it also affects human life and livelihoods. Problems like climate change, water scarcity, and health issues are outcomes of environmental degradation. Now, let us understand the need for sustainable development. Human beings depend on natural resources like land, water, forests, and minerals for development. However, these resources are limited and cannot be used endlessly. When resources are used without planning, it leads to problems like environmental degradation, pollution, and climate change. This is why development must be carried out in a careful and responsible manner. Sustainable development means meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It focuses on using resources wisely, reducing waste, conserving nature, and protecting ecosystems. The aim is to maintain a balance between development and environmental protection. Now, to summarize, environment includes natural, human made, and human components. All components are interconnected. Human activities strongly affect the environment, and conservation and sustainability are the need of the hour. So, this was class 7, chapter 1, environment. If you found this video useful, like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more NCRT plus UPSC integrated content. Thank you and see you in the next video.